Most people think danger looks obvious. A dark alley, a stranger. A warning sign you can see coming. But what if the person you trusted most was the one leading you into it? There's a new phrase going viral online right now, Alpine Divorce. It sounds almost like a joke, a meme, a dark bit of internet humor. But the idea behind it is simple and chilling. A partner takes their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife on a hike into a remote, isolated place, and then leaves them there. No signal, no help, no way back. At first, people laughed it off. But the truth is, situations like this have already happened. And in some cases, they didn't end with someone finding their way home. They ended in disappearance. Or worse, murder. Because when you strip everything back, isolation changes everything. No witnesses, no cameras, no quick escape. Just you and the person you trusted enough to follow into the middle of nowhere. Let's start with a case that shook the world. The story of Gabby Petito. Gabby was 22 years old. She was documenting what looked like a dream life, traveling across America in a van with her fiancé to the outside world. It was perfect. Beautiful landscapes, smiles, adventure. But behind the camera, things were already breaking. Police body cam footage would later reveal tension, arguments, fear. Moments that people online would analyze frame by frame, trying to understand what was really happening. Then, during a trip through Wyoming, Gabby disappeared. At first, it didn't look like a crime. Just another missing person case, someone lost in a vast, unforgiving landscape. But the details didn't sit right. Brian came home. Alone. No explanation. No urgency. No answers. Days turned into weeks. Search teams scoured the wilderness, and eventually, Gabby's body was found. What should have been a shared adventure had become something much darker. And while this wasn't labeled Alpine Divorce, it shows something important. When relationships break down in isolated places, there's nowhere to run. Now imagine that same situation, but intentional, because there are cases where people weren't just left behind. They were led there. Take the case of Julian Sands. In January 2023, the British actor went hiking alone in the San Gabriel Mountains. Experienced, prepared, not reckless, but something went wrong. He vanished. Months passed. Search teams struggled with extreme terrain and weather. And eventually, human remains were discovered. Now, this wasn't a crime, but it shows something crucial. Even experienced people can't always survive the wilderness. So when someone is left there, the odds drop fast. And this is where things turn darker, because there are cases where isolation was used deliberately. In 2015, a woman named Angelika Graswald went kayaking with her fiancé, Bonsam Biaforo. They were out on the Hudson River. Cold water, strong currents. At some point, Vincent's kayak capsized. He struggled. He called for help, and according to investigators, Angelika did nothing. Worse than that, she later admitted to removing a plug from his kayak, creating the situation. He drowned. At first, it looked like a tragic accident, but under investigation, the truth started to surface. And this is what makes these cases so unsettling, because from the outside, it always looks normal. A hike, a trip, a couple spending time together, until one person doesn't come back. Now think about how easily this could be disguised. A slip, a wrong turn. In remote areas, proving what actually happened becomes almost impossible. And that's why the idea behind Alpine Divorce is so disturbing, because it doesn't require violence in the traditional sense. Just timing, location, and intent. There are also cases where people were simply abandoned, not killed, but left in conditions where survival was unlikely. And that raises a serious question. Where is the line between abandonment and attempted murder? Because if you knowingly leave someone in a place they can't escape, what did you expect to happen? This is why experts warn about something called situational vulnerability. It means the environment itself becomes part of the danger. And in relationships where control or abuse already exists, isolation can be used as a weapon. No witnesses, no interference, no one to hear you, just silence. And the scariest part, most victims don't realize what's happening until it's too late, because they trusted the person they were with. And trust is what gets them there in the first place. Now here's where I want you to really think, because this isn't just about extreme cases. This is about patterns. Arguments escalating during trips, people being taken somewhere unfamiliar, control disguised as spontaneity, and then suddenly, you're somewhere you don't know, with someone who's no longer acting the same. That's when situations turn. That's when people panic. And that's when decisions get made. That can't be undone. So when you see the term Alpine Divorce trending online, don't just laugh it off, because behind that phrase is something very real. People have been abandoned. People have been put in danger. And in some cases, people have died. And the difference between a trip and a crime scene can be just one decision. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think this is just an internet trend being blown out of proportion? Or do you think it's exposing something darker that's already been happening for years? Because the more you look into these cases, the more one thing becomes clear. Some people don't leave relationships the normal way. Some people choose a place where no one is watching, and if that's true, then the most dangerous part of the hike was never the mountain. It was the person walking beside you. And the question is, how many of these cases have already happened and we just called them accidents?